Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Crossover. Starring Josh Johnson and Chris McGill. Featuring Christina Thorson. And of course, you, the Instagram live chat. Now, sit back and enjoy this week's edition of The Crossover. Powered by Card Ladder.
I feel like we should have like awards or something for the first. Like we got to have some actual incentive to do it.
Or maybe we don't.
That's the other option.
Maybe they should be incentivizing us.
Smart.
Turn it on, yeah. We will be asking you guys for some rewards for whoever comes in first. You can donate to Christina.
Ooh, I like this.
I thought you might. Josh?
No, Rodman. Rodman was like 7th, but nice try.
Rodman, we're going to handicap that for you and give you a provisional first.
You know what? He usually shows up like an hour and a half into the show, so...
So it is like a first for him.
Yeah.
Yep.
He might be the first international.
True. He probably is the first international. And also, we're not talking about Messi one-of-ones or Messi golds, and he's still here. So, props to you, Rodman.
Though, I will say, I did send him a Messi 1-of-1 and
Yes.
a Messi out of 10 today from the Dallas Card Show.
Yes, you did. So he feels cared for.
Yep, that's how we roll in, at Card Ladder.
That's how we roll. Josh, you were telling me the other day about how you and Rodman and a few other guys used to roam the floor at the National.
Yep, like I want to call it like the OG crew, but it's like OG to me. You know, like my first crew that I rolled around National with, rolling our backpacks and our, weird sports clothing.
And the dinners, right? The dinners.
Yep. I made my story post today. It was basically a cry for help from you two. I didn't want to just DM you directly and be like, hey, look for these cards. Be like, no, see my story. Find me some cards.
Okay, so we did see one table that had
Here it comes.
LeBron exquisites.
They were like,
Hold on, this is my story. No. She always cuts in when she knows what my story is coming. You want to tell my story? Come over here. Tell my story.
I don't know where your story's going.
See, you don't know where it's going. Oh my.
He didn't. Okay, I was talking to him up until like we got to the show, and he knew we were at the show.
Right.
So the fact that he made a story post instead of just asking me directly means that he doesn't get notified.
Look, there's more people than just me and you at the Dallas show.
Well, that he just said it was a plea for the two of us, but he didn't want to ask us directly. We're over that, John.
No, listen. All right. So there was one table.
She said I was told she was gonna be calm tonight. That didn't last long.
No, she just woke up from a nap, and she is reared and ready to go. All right, so we walked around the show, saw a table from a great collector who's a crossover listener, and of course, also a man of great taste in his card selections, unsurprisingly. And he had a LeBron rookie exquisite autographs patches, the out of 100, and a few other LeBron exquisites as well. But A, he already knows you, and it sounded like talks to you. And then B, he actually was trying to buy rather than sell. So he was using the cards to try to get people to bring cards to him to buy. So
I thought you were gonna do. There's one of two ways this story usually starts and goes. It's like, oh, dude, there was this guy there who had like all your favorite exquisite cards perfectly laid out, but I just missed him, and I couldn't find him again, and he's gone, and his cards were priced really fairly too. They were like under comms, but damn, sorry, dude, I lost them.
Now that is a kick to the nuts. For the testicular region.
Or I thought you were gonna say this person you met was like, yeah, that guy fucking lowballs me. I'm not selling to him.
Yeah, Josh he said he already talked to you, and You guys are too far apart on price. No, that was it. I mean, maybe the coolest card I think I saw was the great Jordan Riker had a Brett Favre PMG green PSA 7.
Oh, I did see he picked that up. That's a good one.
Yeah, and I got to study it up close and personal, and it looked great.
Was it
really good?
Green? Was it green?
It was green.
No, that's good.
It was green. Yeah. Okay. Today is May 19th. Welcome to the crossover. We start our show with mail days. Do you have any, Josh? Any mail days?
No.
Okay. I have a few. First one is a card that Christina and I picked up at the Dallas Card Show. A Luka Doncic Prism Gold downtown. Dude, this guy's cards have fallen off a cliff. This was a few $100.
Wow.
Shout out to Baldy Sports Cards and his team who sold us this card. They actually they spotted it. They thought we might like it. They picked it up for us and then sold it to us for a really fair price. So I'm buying Luka's again. They are feeling really affordable. Okay. This is a few weeks ago. This guy's cards are becoming unaffordable. So might not be having too many mail days of him right now. But this is a Jokic Concourse Select Gold out of 10. And one more. This is a Jokic Contenders Championship ticket 1 of 1.
You know how I love those championship 1-on-1s?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, that's one of the only times I will deviate from my Prism symptom. My Prism selected optic. That's what I've really tried to stick to with Jokic, but that one just looked too cool to pass up.
I feel like that's the only thing I've ever convinced you on cards is to get you into contenders.
Dude, once upon a time, you literally showed me the way. Once upon a time, when you had the experience with Panini era productions, and I had none, and you were like, "Dude, it's pretty simple. Galactic, NTRPA at a 99, and Prism Gold. Just start there."
Yeah.
And I almost never really left there. that's I mean.
And then we added in the cracked ice because I love the cracked ice.
Cracked ice too. Yep. Cracked ice is one of the most pleasing cards to look at.
Yep. And we added optic. Select's been kind of nice and fun.
Yep. Yeah, well, the select like they just keep adding tiers.
Yeah.
And thank you, Stiff, for making a topic selection, a title selection already.
Well, if you ever want to get like the joy of chasing a Prism Gold, you can much more affordably do the same thing with Select or Optic and get, in my opinion, a similar feel. I think it's just as fun.
Totally, absolutely, dude. I love all three of those brands. All three of them are awesome. So
yeah. And Select has like the cool. I know you said they added the layers, but they've traditionally had like the the Gold X Factor one, which is usually like the premier level, and then the field level, then the premier level, and the concourse. Are they adding more? You're saying?
Yeah. I mean, football currently has 4 levels. They have concourse, premier, club, and field level.
Club.
There might be somebody sent a question in last week about what would you say if there were 5 levels? Like there or something implying that a 5th level might be coming. So Select has certainly been designated as the Chrome card to be hoard out.
They need the nosebleed one, nosebleed level.
Dude, you know what? That would be sick. That would be awesome. I would be in on that.
It's just well, have you seen that LeBron card where he's dunking and he's really small? It's like that one.
Yeah, the card just shows really small.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay. Well, that's it for mail days. How about announcements? Card lighter related announcements.
I don't have one, but Christina does.
Go on, Christina. Oh wow, this must be big news if she's actually coming over to the camera.
Oh no, but I don't know. You guys always tell me that I need to come over here if I'm going to talk for a long time.
Get into the sentence,
So
please.
Hi. So what's up, Josh?
What up?
Look, she's reading from a script.
Yeah, I don't know where it is. I sent the description to Josh. Oh,
You did.
yeah, I did. Okay, and he's making me read it.
I was like, I ain't reading that.
Yeah. Okay, we added a new index to Card Ladder.
Ooh.
We worked with Slab Stocks, who was already creating a custom index of 100 ultra modern cards for their users and taking screenshots and sending them and talking about them and their content. So what we did was to make it easy for them and their members and users and their audience. So what we did was we did a new SX100 index. So it is 100 cards hand-selected by Slab Stocks that best represent the ultra-modern market. The cards on this index are updated by the Slab Stocks community. So I just want to make it clear to everyone that this index is not like our normal indexes, which are static. Like, this index will be fluctuating and, like, cards will be coming in and out. But thank you to Aaron and Nate and the Slab Stocks community for, for being you.
There you go.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Christina. All right, the Sex 100 index.
Oh, God. Now I have to change the name.
It's going to be great.
I'll change the name whenever you need. They named it.
Yeah, okay. Very good. Let's go with the questions. Questions. Oh, yes. All right, so twice this week, we had question askers going. Okay, Perimeter. That's the energy I like, Perimeter. I need the chat on that level tonight. Perimeter Collectors for the win.
Chat is just like, bang, bang. You say one thing, and they're just like...
Okay. All right. So, look, we've had this happen twice this week. I love the questions. Question askers going back and forth at each other with competing not snarky, but competing questions, sort of poking each other's buttons, which I love.
Snarky. That's what I was going to say. Our chat and our audience is like the perfect amount of snark for what we like.
Yes, it is. If we're being honest, the chat and the question askers lead us. We lean heavily on you guys. We sit on the screen and talk.
Sometimes you don't even do that.
Okay. All right.
2/3 of us.
All right. Let's kick this off with the first set of dueling questions. LAFC Gooner, who was awesome to meet at the Mint. He says, are you enjoying watching investors try to rebrand themselves as collectors? And then Cajun Cardboard saw that question and came up with his own question that said, you better not bash investors who turn collectors. Isn't that the natural evolution that we want?
Man, I think Cajun nailed it. I thought that was what I was thinking when I first saw that. Was like, I feel like we've been pretty clear on like not bashing investors and kind of taking the stance of trying to like show the investor, you know, the fun part of the hobby and like trying to get into your own niche within the investing. Like, if you're going to invest, you know, come at it with like something you actually enjoy. And we've said that'll actually make your investing better and smarter, and you'll do better off. And then the next step is like you'll actually enjoy it, you'll stick with it long term, et cetera, et cetera. You'll become a collector / investor, and you'll become this hybrid, and you'll stick with it. So, I mean, we've been saying that for a long time. I don't think that we've ever directly bashed the investor. It's really like the nuances of, you know, how you go about it.
Yeah, totally. I think we can bash the investors a little bit, and this is why. All right. First of all, never with a mean spirit. Never with a mean spirit. Because at the end of the day, I think the point has been made well by over a long period of time that we all invest on some level.
Yeah.
Even though I know people don't like the word invest. I don't like the word invest. And I understand the criticism of saying you can't really invest in something that isn't producing value. Like what we're doing with cards is maybe closer to speculation or something like that. And those are fair points, not the time or the place to have that semantic discussion. But why I think we can bash investors a little bit and have fun with it is because nobody wants everything just given to them. It should be hard. If you're an investor who's coming over to be a collector, so you're going to get ribbed a little bit.
Hazing. Some hazing.
Yeah, we'll do a little bit of hazing. Like Brooke Lopez.
You're not supposed to haze people in today's society, guys.
Okay. Brooke Lopez could not shoot a three-pointer to save his life early in his career. Then he developed a three-pointer. But as he was developing the three-pointer, he probably got a little extra incentive to get better when people were saying, you can't shoot a three-pointer. So he got a little bit better. Or, when you're trying to impress somebody, you don't shove your nose up their butt, all right? It's not going to be a good reflection on the hobby community to just, let's roll out the red carpet for these investors who are rebranding as collectors. No, because that's honestly not how we really feel. How we really feel is begrudging acceptance. And I think that's completely fine. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you remember this, but probably a year ago now, I called this. I was freaking these content creators are going to start telling us they're collectors and doing the rug pull on us to try to boost their content views. And this is what's going to happen. You're going to have to tell us you're a collector because that's the only way people are going to stick with it, because the only people that are left are collectors because all the investors are getting clobbered and they're gone. And so that was my take. It's been happening. There's collector series being branched off, 50 million video part series on how amazing my collection has been over the last 5 years of telling you I'm an investor. So not surprised to see that coming. Yeah. I mean, it's obviously a fine line between that and, should we roll out the red carpet and welcome you to the collector side?
Absolutely, Josh. And here's the thing too, man. How much of it is authentic?
Right.
Versus how much of it is simply is simply putting on a costume, like the meme of the clown putting on his makeup. How much of it is just that? And then when it's no longer the trendy thing to do, or when there's other more viable options, then the collector thing gets put back in the box.
Yeah. And
it goes away.
I initially thought of it how a lot of content creation was hopping from one, collector base to the next, jumping from base cards and jumping to rookies and then jumping to vintage and all this stuff. And the next one was I'm going to now jump into telling you I'm a collector. That was kind of the one that I took as, yeah, okay, never mind. I don't believe you.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, shout out David Kahan. Dave, we miss you, buddy. Okay. All right. So is it fair to say that it's valid points on both sides? The truth is somewhere in the middle?
Yeah. I mean, I can just as easily hate everyone if you want that take. I mean, I can gladly find a way to just hate everything.
Look, there's going to be plenty of time to hate a lot of things over the course of this show, so let's pace ourselves.
It's early. That's exactly right. It's early, man. Let me ease into it a little bit here.
No, that was good, man. You're right, dude. That is something that lots of people and us have talked about is you know what? If no matter what the path that somebody takes to get into the hobby, if the end result is that they end up loving cards and they're in it for the long term and they're playing the game fair and they're doing things for the right reason.
Yeah.
That's great. That's an amazing outcome.
If they do that last part, if you don't do that last part and you never did previously,
right.
Don't throw a collector logo or a collector brand on top of your self and then try and tell me that I have to accept you. Fuck off. Thank you very much.
All right, there you go. Okay, next question here. Few different questions on Wembanyama. So Card Shop dads. First question here says, will Victor Wembanyama bring some new people into the hobby, similar to how Zion Williamson did?
Well, is this with the assumption that he's going to have cards?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, so in 2026, we'll start to see that effect. Or, I mean, he's not going to be signing autographs, right?
Not with Panini, it doesn't appear.
But it's just the autograph thing. Like, Panini still is able to create Prism cards and base cards, right?
Right. Yeah, like Ben Simmons. This is what happened with Ben Simmons as well.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, do you think it'll be like as hyped as the whole Zion thing? Because the Zion rookie class was really like at that cusp of like the market already getting really excitable and everyone's kind of ramping up, and we just came off the Luka one, 2018 was already like building up, whereas now we've got this sort of, opposite direction feeling, and maybe people are thinking like Wemby can save it. I'm not sure about that. Plus the other part of it, I know you might want to cover your ears, but he is international, and I know that like makes a lot of people upset, but it's just kind of the reality of it. It just is what it is, and it's just the fact that the international guys just aren't getting the same hobby buzz as the American rookies, especially the rookies, because we've never seen Wemby play. We've seen some clips. We watched Zion play a lot. We watched the shoe exploding thing. We watched March Madness. We haven't really seen Wemby, so even me personally, I don't know what to expect with this kid. He's super tall. He can dribble. He can shoot, but I just don't know. I don't know if he's got the toughness of some of these other guys. I have no idea. We'll see.
Exactly, man. I feel the same way. That's the first place that my mind goes to, is that the difference between Zion and Wembanyama is that Zion had the player rising through the American ranks pedigree. Zion was on the AAU circuit. He was part of these mixtape videos. He was heavily scouted by all of the college programs. Then he went to Duke, and then he had that run. He was playing with and against other future players. He was really much more of a focus in American culture prior to joining the NBA in an organic way. Whereas Wembanyama, I mean, I haven't watched a game of his. I've heard about him. I've heard the hype surrounding him, but he just isn't a part of American culture yet. So I think that's a factor. And then on the collecting side of things, I have a really hard time seeing Wembanyama gin up the same level of support that Zion had from collectors. I think collectors, for probably lots of different reasons, felt a lot more connected to Zion than they will to Wembanyama when he steps foot in the league. But the other side of it is that there will be people who will hear about Wembanyama and they'll think about cards, and the first thing they'll say is, hey, man, if this guy turns out to be really good and have a great career, it would be great to own some of his cards. Then they do take an interest in the hobby again, at least for a little while.
Yeah.
So I think there will be some of that. I think that leads into the next question here from Mostly 90s Basketball Cards, who says, if you were a Spurs fan and collector, what would be your strategy for the next year or two to collect Wembanyama and also to continue to pay for food, shelter, and water?
I also wanted to add, like, the fact that he's split across Fanatics and Panini concerns me. Because, like, what we talked about earlier, where I told you, we talked about how you realized, or, we've kind of learned this over the years, is like, you got Prism, you got your National Treasures, you've got Galactic, whatever your top five are. If two of his five are going to be unlicensed with Fanatics, him wearing a T-shirt, signing an autograph, and they're not National Treasures, so we don't even have the National Treasures, and then Prism's over here. The fact that it's kind of spread out, and then people won't necessarily know if they're supposed to buy his Fanatics cards because that's coming, or the Panini because it's got the pedigree. It's a little bit confusing, and I feel like that's going to spread the money around, and it won't be as focused, and it won't have as much impact. So that worries me. I give you the same answer to this all the time. I always say wait a couple years. Like, it's just kind of the reality of it. And I'd love to hear your take, because you guys, jumped early on Luka and his prices weren't crazy early. so it's a little bit different. But if you had tried to do the Luka thing and he had the initial build up that came a few months after you guys started, I feel like it would have been a lot harder for you to jump in.
Absolutely, yeah. So that's something that should be pointed out is like with Zion, with Luka, with Jason Tatum, with the great rookies of the last 5 or 6 years, their markets were all strong when they first came out, as they usually are, and then they correct over the course of the season, as they usually do. But something happened that covered up all that and completely blew out of the water the normal market cycle, which is the hobby exploded leading up to and then during the pandemic. And so if you bought Luka's or Tatum's or Zion's or one of those players in the years 2017, 2018, 2019, and then you had those cards and then 2020 came around, you saw the value of those cards multiply several times over, not because of a market cycle, not because those players suddenly became champions, but just because on a macro level, the market itself expanded. And that is like a once-in-a-generation type of thing that happens. So that's going to be hard to reconcile, like people's success stories with those players. They're more due to the growth of the market as a whole and less to quote-unquote successful prospecting. So I think the Wembanyama situation looks a lot like what you just laid out, which is there's going to be a lot of hype and high prices in the beginning, and then it tapers off, and as the hype cools off and the slog of a career and legacy building kicks in, then we settle into something a lot lower and calmer. But the trade-off is this: if you are a Spurs collector, or if you do love Wembanyama, or if you do think he's going to be something special, and you do want to get your hands on the best cards of his that you can, and you want to be able to enjoy that first season, that second season with him, at least you won't go into it blind. At least you'll have a concept of the fact that, you're probably going to pay very high prices in the early goings, and you might not have had to pay them if you waited.
I can give some pretty decent advice on this ending part there. I think you guys did it. I think you guys laid the groundwork for this. You went and got the super uber important cards early before prices got crazy. You got the gold prism, you got the NT.
Yep.
And then to sort of hold over your excitement and fandom that you wanted to keep buying his cards, you kind of went and got, I'll call them like, off-brand one-of-one stuff.
Yep.
It's like you're focused on like the super rare stuff that keeps you excited, keeps you watching the games and engaged, but not having to go and spend 100x what you did just to get the one NTRPA, where there's 99 of them. You could get that later. So like if you're thinking about this Wemby thing and that's your approach, maybe pick off some of the fun brands that you enjoy that's not super popular, grab some of the one-on-ones and wait on his gold prism, wait a couple years on that, and maybe buy like the select gold in the meantime or something like that. That's one thing. The other is, while we've been chatting and in the chat, I had this thought where this question right here, this topic, is why most content that's not this show pisses me off, because what's going to end up happening is a lot of content you're going to see is like, go buy Wemby, join in the excitement, the hobby's back, get in Wemby early, this guy's the next whatever, he's the high, biggest hype, and it's just blind hype, blind positivity, it's all positive. And if you say anything against that, you're just a hater. You don't understand prospecting. You don't understand hype of Wembanyama, and it's just not right, because there's so many variables to this. And one of the variables, we've called out several of them. One is that he does not have a contract with Panini, so that's going to affect it. He's international. We know the boom and bust cycle of these prospects. Like, there's so many variables that if you don't get into this stuff and educate people on this, they're just going to go and buy his first card that's released that's, him wearing a French jersey and it's autographed on a sticker. And you're going to get fucking crushed. So you need to, like step back, even if you are super excited and a Spurs fan, you still shouldn't go buy the very first thing. You should still wait a few months, let some product come out, figure out what makes sense, you know?
Yes. I applaud that. That was amazing. That is what's going to happen. And it happens from a number of different angles. There will be the breakers angle,
Yep.
who will be looking to sell product at the highest price. And that's a similar angle that the manufacturers will have. So there's an incentive set up to really take the hype that ESPN and others have created for Wembanyama and to maximize it. And then there will be, the hobby, what do you call them? The hobby pumpers? I don't know. The people who just it's the hobby positivity police.
Yes.
Will be regulating Wemby skepticism with a heavy sword. That's a lot of weird.
The greatest prospect in sports history. Did you hear that?
Yes, dude. So that leads me into a point that I want to make related to that, which is, do we even know truly how good Wembanyama will be?
No, I have no clue.
I have no clue either. I haven't watched. I've had a couple people who are more in tune with it tell me that his shooting percentages are not very good. At least his field goal and his three-point percentage. Field goals is sub 50, three-pointers is sub 30. His free throw percentage is 79% or something like that, which is sometimes a decent indicator of how good a shooter a player ultimately is. But I'm not saying he'll be bad, I'm not saying he'll be good. I'm saying I don't know. But there's takes floating around from these mainstream sports outlets that, these guys keep trying to one-up each other's take, and then I saw one that was like, if he's as good as Hakeem Olajuwon, I will consider him a failure.
The stupidest thing ever. I have a question. What do you think is Jimmy Butler's best attribute? Like, what makes what's happening with Jimmy Butler right now? What is making it work? And I'll get to my point once you give the answer, because I think I know what you're going to say.
He's got that dog in him. No,
I mean, kind of. That's kind of the answer, isn't it?
Yeah. There's something to it. I mean, he's extremely efficient. He is extremely smart, and he plays really hard.
And he just, he's improved over his career. Like, he's clearly had a strong focus to be this good of a player, right? You can't just my point is that we don't know if Wembanyama has any of those traits. We have no clue. All we can see is statistics on paper right now. We don't know if he's got the drive to improve season after season. What happens if he has a rough first year? The media gets to him. He starts feeling the pressure, and he turns into a bust or whatever. Anything's possible. This is just as much of a mental game as it is a physical game. So he's got the physical tools, but we don't know if it's going to translate.
We don't, and there's also a path that's been blazed by Zion, but before him by Joel Embiid, and before him by Greg Oden, and it works out in different ways, but players can get injured playing an incredibly high-speed sport with all of the contact and the jumping and the landing and the pushing off. I mean, players can get hurt. I'm not making a comment about one player's propensity to be hurt more than another. I have no idea what that is, but I've certainly seen it happen with high picks having a really rough start to their careers, and maybe even having short careers in some instances because they just got hurt.
Yeah.
That's always a variable as well.
Doesn't that Olajuwon comment just sum up the hobby so nicely? Because Olajuwon cards are not that expensive relative to younger, and this is you've seen the content I make where it's here's a young hype player who's cheaper than his Hall of Fame comparison.
Right.
Or sorry, more expensive than his Hall of Fame comparison. It's his cards are going to be more expensive than Hakeem Olajuwon, and I'm pretty sure if he turned out to be Hakeem, that would be an incredible accomplishment. He has 2 Finals MVPs, and he's the all-time leader in block shots. That's pretty good.
Yeah. we really need to like take a hard look at clickbait culture and the one-upsmanship of media content when we're saying things like, if a player's career matches Hakeem Olajuwon's, which would make that player a top 12 or a top 13 player all time, that their career was a failure.
People are like, just now I've seen some like more serious, like real content creators in the basketball world being like, Curry's in that Olajuwon range. Stephen fucking Curry
He's a failure,
is
Scott. He's a failure.
is in the same range as Hakeem Olajuwon, and now we're saying Wemby by the transitive property is a failure. Steph Curry's a failure? I'm just like, what?
Yeah. And like the other thing that occurs to me as well, and like this is kind of me being soft when I admit that, but like this is borderline abusive. This is society abuse. This is collective society abuse of
Towards Wemby?
of a 19-year-old kid. Yes.
Yeah.
This is dude, who would raise their kid in such a fashion, or who would treat their friend in such a fashion?
You.
Hey, if you make it to the NBA and then you end up winning 2 championships, Defensive Player of the Year, MVP, Finals MVP, you failed. You failed. I mean, it's not good.
I feel pretty good about him going to the Spurs, given what you just said, because he's got a seasoned coach. You know, they've got a system in place at least where it's not going to change every year. You know, he's not having to jump between coaches and leadership. Like, at least they'll have some sort of stability around him, where he can like grow into a person that can drink. For one, like he's fucking 19. Like, just let him have a couple years here. It's not going to be, you heard the one where it's like, I talked to a GM and I think they thought he was going to be top 3 in the NBA, or he's going to be the best in the NBA at both offense and defense within 3 years. Because the comment was twisted where it was like, he's going to be the best player in the NBA in 3 years. No, the comment was he's going to be the best offensive player and the best defensive player in the NBA in 3 years. How is that possible? He's going to be fucking Dennis Rodman plus Michael Jordan combined into one human after 3 years? Like, what the fuck? What?
I know, what are we doing? It parallels the point that you made about like there will be this unchecked hobby hype train that has as its end goal moving product or growing the hobby pie. And in the NBA media world, the Wemby hype is pretty clearly designed to like try and get the NBA more fans and create hype and intrigue and drama and storylines surrounding the league. But you have to do those things organically, or else it's just duping people. So,
dude, and what we're expecting out of this kid, the ceiling that he could reach has already been reached, and his name's Luka. He's got 5 first-team All-NBAs in his first 6 years. That's the absolute peak of what's humanly possible from someone that is 18 years old going to 24 years old. And Luka's prices are going down; they're cratering. So, like, how much more proof do you need that you got to be careful with this stuff?
No, I know, man. I know. And I'm just okay. Last Wemby question here from Yamwax. He says, if Wemby becomes a generational player, which would make him a failure, does the draft class get extra attention? The whole draft class get extra attention from collectors. So think about non-Jordans from 86 Fleer and the non-bronze from 2003. Also, who are the top 4 non-bronze to collect from 2003? Hashtag 4 non-bronze. Hashtag, oh my God, do I try?
I think it puts more emphasis on the products from those years and not the other players. Am I answering that right? He's asking about like Carmelo and Wade?
Yeah, yep, and Bosh and
those guys are Hall of Famers and they don't get much love at all in the hobby. So I don't think it puts much on the other players. I think of it more like 2003 Exquisite, 96 Topps Chrome, like and 2018 Prism because of Luka. You start picking out the actual sets, in my opinion, more than the other players around him.
Yeah, that's a good point. So your point is like, it's not so much going to be about the non-Wembanyamas. It's more so about Wembanyama anchored important products from his rookie year.
Like, and it puts extra emphasis on like the sealed wax, holding the wax, trying to open that product for a long amount. Because you guys are still talking about 2018 Prism. You're not talking about it because of fucking Kevin Knox, because everyone wants to hit that one Luka Black, So it's really more about, and you're not looking for 2020 product or 2017 because you're just looking for that one player. You're not necessarily looking for just to spread it amongst the other players.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, enough about Wembanyama, but that was decent banter there.
What do you think about him? Do you think he's gonna? We're not gonna guess. We're just gonna just wait and see.
I have nothing to base it off of, man. But I do know I haven't watched him at all. I don't know anything about him. But what I do know is that I can sense when there's phony hype. I can see it. I can sense it. The hobby. There's a question coming up later about like what are some things you've learned from the hobby. Here's one of them. I can tell when people are pumping something up in a way that's not completely authentic, and I see that. I believe a bit of that is happening here.
It's always for self-gain. You always have to think like when someone's saying something outlandish, like what do they stand to gain from it? And if you could figure that out, you'll figure out why they're saying it.
Absolutely. So let's see. I would love to. I'm gonna love watching his career and seeing how good he becomes. Like, dude, nothing beats the NBA playoffs. They take over my life when they start. Nothing beats the NBA playoffs. I can't wait to see this guy who does have a lot of potential. I can't wait to see him develop in the league. But but if I listen to ESPN and I listen to the mainstream networks talk about him, they've already spoiled it. There's no surprise. He can't pleasantly surprise us now. He has to be LeBron or Jordan, or he's a failure. And that is not a fun way to enjoy anything.
Yeah, I have never said let's have less great talent in the NBA. Like I would love it if he's amazing. More talent, more fun things to watch on TV, more things I've never seen before. Bring it on. But to your point, like if I have to watch him through a prism of this guy better be LeBron or I'm gonna break my TV, it's like what are we doing?
All right. Okay. All right. Frankie 3500 says, "What content would you like to see more of?" And I have an answer for this that I'll try because I thought about mine. Mine is Kyle from Wax Museum has been doing a series of videos, and the most recent one that I watched was on Bowman Chrome Golds from the 2000s. And he had a card of a Pacers player from every year of Bowman Chrome Gold in the 2000s, and he showed it, and he contrasted the golds, and he liked the gold on one more than the other, and he talked about the set, he talked about what they're numbered to, and I learned things about Bowman Chrome Gold from the 2000s that I didn't know, and now I have this reference that I can go to. If I ever wanted to know about Bowman Chrome Gold, I can reference this thing that he did. That's content that I'd like to see more of, is content that teaches me facts about hobby stuff.
That's basically going to be my answer, so let me try to pivot and think. I would love if there was more content about somehow like tying in the like highlights and plays to the cards. I'm not sure. I'm sort of just making this up as I go. I don't have like a clear.
Sure.
Just something about like the connection between the games being played and the cards themselves. And I don't mean like, oh, when this guy has a good game, cards double in price. I don't mean that. I mean like the actual, the process of creating the cards and how they chose the photo from this game and how the stats were. I don't know, something along those lines.
That's cool. Yeah. I also think that collectors have a unique vantage point on sports that no other sports content can provide. Gamblers can't provide it. Network guys can't provide it. Beat writers can't provide it. Podcasters can't provide it. The collector has a unique incentive, a unique position, a unique set of stakes on players. And it's tough to articulate that, but I think the collector one day could have a seat at the content table, not card content, but literally just sports content. The collector could have a seat at that table one day, but we have a long way to go. But if we develop our ability to analyze sports and we develop our ability to connect it to our collecting habits, not just modern players, but history and the importance of sports history. We're way more interested in sports history than most sports content. It matters a lot more to us as collectors. We could harness that. We could develop really, if we could develop the ability to make content about sports from the perspective of card collectors that offers something insightful and isn't just a regurgitation of what is already being said in sports, which we can, that's like a grand outcome I see one day happening, is collectors providing insights on sports that help everybody else who watch sports enjoy sports more. I think that day that could happen.
That's a much more organized, well thought out version of what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I'm thinking of going with it too.
I was thinking while you were talking, I would love to know more about Moses Malone. I don't know anything about him. Nobody talks about him today. There's no current event unless, he passes away that's going to come up and teach me about Moses Malone. But if there's a Moses Malone collector out there, that person's going to know a ton about Moses Malone. They're going to know about his MVPs. They're going to know about the cards and sets he has, maybe some of his current autograph stuff. They're going to tell me what makes him special from the Sixers or whatever the reason, and you'll learn a lot about that one player. So something like that, these features of connecting the collector to their specific player that isn't playing today, and why they like that player.
Absolutely. All right, Cardi C making a comeback to the question at the table. Cardi C Sports Cards says, as only a man of his professional experience can, is there a systemic market risk for sports cards? Is there an event that could cause complete sports card market failure? I'm thinking specifically about a big auction house filing for bankruptcy. What would happen then? How could that possibly spell the end of vaulting services? But I really want to pose this question for the overall markets. Systemic market risk for sports cards.
Jeez, if that happened, that would help the market. I always think about this with this very specific example when this kind of question comes up, and it's that if cards started to actually, crash or dip in value, people guys like you and me and Christina, we would just salivate at the idea of picking up stuff that people are panicking on, and we're not the only ones thinking that. So it's just too late to ever get to that point. There's too many collectors out there. There's too many people that are obsessed with this genre of life in this industry to let it ever get to that point. If you start selling LeBron exquisite cards for 1,000, I'll just gobble them all up. There's always going to be supply and demand, and that's why that's what kind of bothers me about some of these companies, that they think they're integral and crucial to the whole system, and we've figured out how to do it before eBay. You think we can't figure it out, after some of these companies go away? We didn't need fractionalization of some of this stuff. We didn't need, a lot of these companies. We don't need any of these things. We've had fucking magazines to figure out price guides. They don't even need card ladder to a certain extent. We can just pay the prices and ask each other around and figure it out.
Whoa. Okay, card ladder.
You know what I mean?
No, you're right. You're completely right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of these businesses are as important as they might hope.
Dude, exactly. I didn't know how to answer this question, and then I saw the angle you took, and that's exactly right. Why? This is actually infuriating. The assumption that recently hobby infrastructure, hobby businesses have come along and they built these ways of doing things, and then the implication is if these new structures collapse, then the whole hobby collapses. No. In fact, it might even be the opposite. It might even be that if the new approaches to the hobby, like fractional, like vaulting, it might even be the case that if those things went away, that the hobby might find a different way, maybe even a better way to flourish. Not saying it would, not saying it wouldn't, but like it's a frustrating proposition as a collector to, like you said, like we collected before eBay, we collected not we in a general sense, we collected before the internet, we collected, you know, just fine in a number of different eras. And to think that like the death blow to the hobby would be that like some of the most recent business innovations, you know, like in other words, like that the hobby needs these. Here's how I want to put this: the idea that the hobby needs these new business innovations to flourish is exactly opposite. The real truth is that these hobby business innovations need the hobby in order for them to flourish. It works the other way.
Yeah, I would maybe like think through it yourself. What would happen if, you know, X company went under? What would I do as an individual? How would I adjust? And I feel like any of them, I could find I'd find a way. I already have a collection, you know. And one of them that, one comment though that, let me scroll up. Perimeter Collectibles brought up, which is that, you know, if something gets wiped out and there's like a bankruptcy case and people's cards are locked up in a vault, or, you know, there's some loan thing where, you know, your cards like aren't protected and you're kind of stuck, that's obviously like a devastating blow to like the individuals that are in there. So we don't want to like, you know, just ignore that fact. I think we're thinking more in terms of how does the hobby sort of recover from an incident like that long term, and I'm saying it'll get right back on track eventually.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like, you know, that would be catastrophic if people had an unfair, bizarre outcome, such as like not being able to get their cards. That would be a disaster. But the thing that would make that a disaster is the fact that people can't have their cards. That's what makes it a disaster. Mm-hmm. The failure of a business innovation or a new business idea, that doesn't determine the outcome of the hobby one way or the other. What would determine the prosperity of the hobby is preventing people from being able to enjoy and have their cards.
Yeah. I mean, whenever this talk comes up of like, I get so maniacal and like Scrooge McDuck thinking of like, oh my God, please let this happen so I can get more cards cheaper. Like, just please let it happen. Because my goal ultimately is to have like all the best LeBron, CP3, you know, Penny Hardaway cards. And if that becomes easier for me because, you know, these factors that like everyone's panicking and it's like, oh my God, send that shit my way. Fucking I'll do it. And so I just feel like there's a lot of people that have that same mindset of like, please let this crumble so therefore it will never actually crumble because there's too many people feeling that same way.
Right. Yeah. And so I guess to the heart of that question that I want to acknowledge, and I think what Cardi C is getting at is like, yeah, there are scary things that can happen though because of, you know, like vaulting is scary. That the idea that your cards in a vault somehow might not be yours, that's a very scary idea. You know, you naturally pivoted to this. The next question that I had queued up was from enjoycards_IG, yep, which was, what would be your ultimate collecting goal? And I think you just spelled it out there. But do you want to add anything to it besides, you know, getting the best cards of your favorite players? I think basically in a nutshell.
Well, this is where I insert that really cliche, stupid line about like, you know, you never want to actually get to the destination. It's more about like the path to get there. So it's hard to say like, yeah, my goal is to have, you know, 1 million cards of all my favorite players. It's really just to be able to keep doing this. That's really my ultimate goal, is like picking up X amount of cards every year until, you know, there's no more years to buy cards. I don't know. It's just like, I just don't want ever this run that we're on where we're just grabbing awesome cards every year and owning a business with an industry where obviously, like I even pointed out, much to Christina's anger, is that we're not completely necessary, but the fact that people still find value in our tool and they're allowing us to be able to work within the industry, I mean, how much luckier can I get? So that's my goal, just allowing us to keep doing this.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally agree. As far as ultimate collecting goals, there's nothing really to add to that other than just getting the best cards of my favorite players and being able to do it as other people are doing similar things, and make a post about a card on Instagram and have a few people like it and comment on it.
I think you're obligated to start dropping multiple pictures of your Prism 1-of-1 Jokic. Isn't that as they get closer, isn't that how it works? You're supposed to fucking start posting that over and over.
Well, the difference is I'm not trying to sell it. So I don't need to remind everybody that I have.
I see. I was confused. Sorry. That makes sense.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it's not like he's trying to sell it with the price that he's asking for it.
Why do you always come in and shade him so hard?
He knows why.
Did you see Fees Card's post today? His story?
Who?
I think his name's Fees Card, Fees. He said something about, he made a joke about his story was like, acquired my Grail card, best card ever. This is my favorite card. Wait 1 day, available. I was like, yes, dude, this hits so hard for me. This is my number one thing right now.
Props to anybody who waits a day. I see stuff happening where it's just like, dude, I've seen posts where incoming, not in hand yet, available.
I like how they usually put the tags in between, and then you have to scroll just a little bit, and then it says available. Those are the good ones. It's the same post. They didn't wait at all, but at least they separated it with some tags or some hashtags. Yeah.
Yeah, or the new one that is great too, man, is when the card will get posted. There will be a three-paragraph essay about how great the card is and how great the player is and how important this is and meaningful it is, and then taking offers. That's the end. That's the final sentence.
I told Fees, I DM'd him, I was like, my favorite is all the people that come to the defense of well, it's his card, let him do what he wants with it. What are you, a hater? You can't let this guy live his life. Let him live that grind life, bro. He can sell it whenever he wants. It's his fucking card. Yeah, that's true. But you also can't lie to me that it's your favorite card ever and you're never gonna part with it and you're gonna literally be buried with it, and then the next day you're not. So
yeah, that's always the issue, right? Is that the issue is always the deception. That's always the thing that
it's like selling a trim card without telling me it's trim.
Yeah, and you know what? Exactly. And you know what? There's plenty of ways to make fun of me. And I accept it. Oh, this guy's gonna post a novella about this card or this player or something and how excited he is, and look, we all are caricatures on some level. So let's just not get too worked up when people make fun of us, because it's gonna happen. So just deal with it.
Just get ahead of it. Make fun of yourself. That's like the schoolyard, grade school thing they teach you. Just make fun of yourself first, and nobody can make fun of you.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. I'm writing that down as a title.
I employ that with my kids. I make fun of them every day. This is going to get way worse with kids at school, so just get used to it, Let your dad make fun of you first. It'll be a lot softer and easier when the bullies make fun of you.
That's great. Or maybe that's how bullies are made. I don't know.
I'm just the bully, yeah.
Okay, all right. T. Holai? I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. He says, when first starting to collect a 90s player, what are the Grail cards that you go after first?
Yes. This is a classic question, an old timer that we can always come back to and just nail it.
Yes, it is.
I mean, PMGs, rubies, titanium fusion, platinum medallion, Topps chrome refractors, finest refractors, 97 game jerseys.
Yep.
Jump in whenever you feel. Inserts. We haven't even gotten to the inserts. Jambalaya. Jump in whenever you want.
No, it's great. What I would try to do, though, that is exactly right. But because I collected Jordans as my '90s player.
Is that any good?
The one of ones were always not even on my radar. Like, me and other Jordan collectors would make lists of our favorite cards, and like we would exclude like PMGs and rubies because like those were so difficult to get. We wouldn't even acknowledge that Jordan has the playing years one of ones. Like we pretend those don't even exist when we like make like MK Sports Cards made his list of his top 10 Jordan Grails, in his opinion, the top 10 Jordan Grails, and he automatically excludes the one of ones just because like those are so mythical and untouchable. Like to me, the best Michael Jordan card ever made, it's got to be the '98 Gem Masters one of one, right? That's got to be it.
Yep.
But that card is so unreachable. But if I was going into like a '90s player, what's that?
I think it's the best card ever made. The best single card ever made.
Dude, they are so awesome.
Fight me on the best card, singular, individual, one card ever made is the '98 Gem Master Michael Jordan.
I don't know if there's a rebuttal to that. Maybe somebody would say like the 09 Curry Super or something. I don't know.
That's a silly picture? No.
So if I was coming into the 90s and I was coming in to collect the player who's not Michael Jordan, I would, we have a question later about like the life cycle of a collector and how like you probably have to collect for a while before you get to that point of realizing, like what MK said on his story the other day, he was like, I would trade my whole collection for an MJ PMG Green. Like it takes a while, I think, before you get there.
He did not say that.
He did.
No. Oh, dude, someone step up and trade this man. That is such a lopsided trade. He would get clobbered on that trade. Come on now.
There'd be like 5,000 cards for one or whatever. Okay, so, but that is, if I could, that's what I would want to do. Is if I was taking a 90s player, I would try and go get one of those 90s one of ones, like one of the Flair Legacy Collection Masterpiece one of ones, of which there's like 4 from 1997, or the Platinum Medallion Masterpieces one of one, or the Gem Masters one of one. I would try to like, or the Purple Platinum Medallion one of one, like one of those. I would try to go get one of those.
Dude, you're setting this person up for complete failure and shame in their lives. I consider myself to be pretty good at collecting Penny Hardaway, and he's like, kind of a bum compared to some of these guys we're talking about, relatively in price terms. And I don't have a single 90s one-on-one of that guy.
Dude, because Penny Hardaway is like, have you ever even seen them hit the market? I doubt it.
I've seen like a horizontal Legacy purple font one of one. I've seen it, but at the time he wanted like, $25,000 or something, and that was just like, get out of here. Because there's like 7 of the Legacy. I just thought like, nah, it's just a random one. But if it was the Gem Master, that's the reason the Gem Master stands out to me is because it's just so unique. There's not 7 of them. There's not a Prism Black plus a Select Black plus an Optic. It just sort of really stands out as like the one to me. You know what I mean? And that's what is so crazy about the 90s one-on-one, and I'm glad you took it this way, is that those 90s one-on-ones are just, it's just like such rarity that it's like, it hurts my mind to think about how rare some of those are. Whereas the modern stuff, yeah, they're one-on-ones, but there's a lot of one-on-ones. There's like modern rookies have like 200 one-on-ones. Whereas some of these 90s guys, it's like, yeah, they've got 8. It's like, oh, fuck. That's less than the green PMG run. You know, it's like, there's not enough.
They're true unicorns. That's why you never even see them or hear about them. Like, they don't even come into discussions. Like, if I were to ever make a list of, like, the top Michael Jordan cards, like, you have to put the one-of-ones. You have to. You have to do it. They have to be ranked. Like, we can't just keep pretending they don't exist.
We pretend they don't exist because, like, we literally haven't seen most of them. Or, like, you know, Nat has 6 of them, and it's,
right.
you know, they're gone and buried, and it's like, yeah, well, let's just move past that. We kind of do that with, like, you know, Steph Curry has a Logo Man RPA. You know, we kind of ignore that one because it's like, well, that one's gone. You know, I can't get that. So, like, what's his top 5 cards? Oh, it's his gold prism or his gold Topps Chrome and his, you know, out of 99 because we can, like, reasonably brain those.
Yes, we can. But, you know, something about it, too, is, like, we do give more credence to, like Tyrese Halliburton's NT Logo Man RPA 1-of-1 is for sale with Golden right now. And, like, because we can see that card, like, we can brain it. You know, like, if you know, Stephen Go had the 98 Gem Masters Jordan 1-of-1, and he, like, would take a picture with it on a yacht once every 6 months, like,
Sure.
we would think about it more, but it's such a unicorn. We just never, it's
We
never
didn't
even seen.
know where it is.
Yeah.
We didn't even know where that card is.
Exactly.
And it's collabed with, like, you know, there's potentially a few fakes of that card flying around, so it's like it even makes it more mysterious of like, oh, is this even the real one? It's probably not even real. Like, fuck that one.
Yep. Exactly. Okay.
Oh my god, if I had that one, that's the best card ever. That and the if I could have two, if you just like, you know, 2 cards, it's that one and that fucking LeBron Logo Man. The ultimate. Oh my god, I was literally. Dude, I thought I told you this story. I was watching that auction. This was like early in my collecting years. I was watching that auction and watching it wind down. I'm like, I could sell my house. I was literally like, what would I have to do? I could, because you know, it ended at like $300,000, and at that time, the most I'd ever spent on a card was like $4,000. So, you know, to make that leap was like, oh my god, I have to sell my fucking house. But I literally, that thought came through my brain of like, sell your house, you dummy, and buy this thing. And it would have been the right decision.
Dude, it would have been amazing. God, that would have went down.
The second, those 2. It was like, those are the 2 guys historically, you know, Jordan, LeBron, those are their top cards in my opinion. $312K. God.
Yep. Damn, that's crazy. Okay.
If I had that LeBron, you had the MJ, we could just like put our powers together and make a ring and fucking fly to the moon or something, you know?
Yeah. Yep. Well, you know there's it's so funny. It's so funny that we go in this direction where like we're kind of getting a little bit philosophical and taking some big picture approaches and stuff because like that was definitely a theme of the questions this week. So like one question that came in from Cardboard Insights, I guess it's just amazing to me. I would like there will just be like people will come to the same questions. I don't know, but the Cardboard Insights.
You mean like there's a theme each week? Yeah. They just kind of come.
There's like a theme that's like more than just coincidence.
Yeah.
It's like people are thinking about these things independently.
The subconscious of the hobby.
The subconscious of the hobby.
That's because we're making a herd of you know, like-minded community type folks.
A cult, if you will.
I mean, come on now. I didn't say that word.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. So Cardboard Insights says.
I think you say sheep. I don't want to use that word either. That's not a good word in this space.
All right. Cardboard Insight says, what lessons has the hobby taught you? For me, it has definitely helped me to understand in all of my purchasing decisions when I kind of like something versus when I really love something.
That's interesting. Why don't you go first?
Oh my God, I don't have a good answer to this. It's a weird. I understand how somebody who doesn't do the hobby like professionally or for most of their day can have a question like this because like the hobby is their hobby and it teaches them things on the side and then that impacts stuff that they do in their day to day. But for me, it's almost the opposite question at this point. We've been working in the hobby for 3 years now, full time. Like the thing that I think about is more so for me it would be like, how does something outside of card collecting teach me about how to do card collecting better, teach me how to work on card ladder better or make better content or something. So like it's really hard for me to put myself in the mind state to answer this question because it's the opposite. It's now it's like I'm learning things from other areas that help me do the sports card industry better rather than the reverse. So I didn't have a good answer to this.
The question is what lessons can be taken from cards and applied to other things? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, my brain is just like locked in on this latest topic we're going on, which is like figure out the rarity like first and go figure out like what you can find that's the best immediately. Because, you know, human nature is like, I'll build up to something, I'll start out slow, and I'll work my way up to the one-on-ones. And what you can take from this is like you know, you should have gone after the one-on-one early. You should have just cornered this stuff and like, which is probably bad advice because you don't want to just go spending all your money on the most expensive stuff right away. But in this case, it would have worked out. And you can apply that to other things in life, which is like, you know, people say like take the easy stuff first, you know, take the easy wins and kind of work your way up. Maybe you should like go for the home run quick. Fucking life is not that long, you know. You might as well just like swing for the fences. I feel like you did that with card ladder, which was like you had this sort of, I would say not easy for you. Like you had it kind of figured out, this law thing. You had it sort of like in your plans. You know what you're gonna do, and you took the hard one and went straight for the home run 101. Like let's just go for the big one.
That's a good one. That is a lesson. That is I don't know if like we bring that to collecting or if collecting taught us that or if it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
But that's definitely a lesson of collecting. It's like go for the best of the best. Aim there. Yeah, I like that. I definitely like that.
You don't want to end up choosing the thing that makes your life the way that, you know, is the one that's the most probable outcome. You know, you kind of want to go for the one that's like, man, what's the decision I could make where if it works out, it's exactly what I want, you know?
Yes. Ankesh says the hobby has taught him anger management.
I need a slight break. Weird.
That's really funny. Just looking at some of the other answers here. That's great. I like that a lot, Ankesh. Anger management, indeed. All right. I'm going to go to the next question here from Ben Cross Country Runner 1, whose question is this. Human development is a predictable we get some very heady questions, don't we, Christina? Have you been paying attention? Okay.
No.
Human development is a predictable process that moves through the stages of infancy, childhood, adolescence, adulthood, and late adulthood, and each brings predictable challenges and experiences. Are there predictable life stages of a collector? And if there are, what do you think those stages are? Oh, look at that. Perfect timing.
That's where we are in like year 3 of the show. Is like the questions got to get real deep.
They do.
And they got to get real philosophical. Otherwise, you're not going to cut it on this show.
Yeah.
You know.
Dude, the questions are refining themselves.
Yep, exactly right.
What do you think about this one?
It's very interesting. It's kind of like we've been like laughing at the face of the traditional, like, you know, build your way up as a normal human. Like you know, you start to crawl before you walk kind of thing with you know, being an infant to an adult. Whereas we're like, no, fucking go buy the one-on-ones, fuck all that and skip it. But there is definitely some, you know, similarities in terms of like learning the brands, learning the sets, you're learning to talk, you're learning like sets, you're learning like how the cards are constructed and the history and stuff, and then you get into the parallels and you get into like the more nuances of it. So, I can see some of the parallels.
Yeah. Publius, who appeared on the Stacking Slabs podcast today.
Oh, I need to listen to that.
Yeah.
I didn't listen to it yet.
I haven't listened yet either, but I do need to listen to it. He says, what you do
Look at that, you fucker. I see his comment here.
he says, you peak at Michael Jordan and LeBron and then decline into Todd Gurley and Christian McCaffrey.
That's how we both like picked, running backs that are cheap, and we just like high-fived each other like, yeah, let's fucking be cheapos and buy the best of these, cheapo guys.
Well, does that mean that in our collector life cycles we're like near death? We're in our senile age. Yeah.
Well, to your point earlier, which was that our question askers seem to get on themes, we sort of did the same thing, which was like we looked at each other and we're like, I can't afford LeBron, you can't afford MJ and Luka. Let's fucking buy running backs.
Yep. Yes, indeed. And okay. So one of these things that this question is getting at, one of the things that made me think about is like, how much is there a natural evolution versus how much are people who come into the hobby conditioned by the content that they consume and the advice that they get? So like, how much of it is there a natural life cycle versus how much is it's only this way because this is how people are taught, and that it could be different.
Nature versus nurture.
Yes, exactly. Or agency versus.
I don't think you can skip any of the steps. Let me put it that way. I don't think that there's like one content creator, including us, that you can listen to and be like, oh, I listen to Brett every week and I've got it figured out in 6 months, whereas it would normally take 5 years. I still think, no matter what you do, you're always going to have to go through the natural progression.
What do you think about like a whale who comes into the hobby and just like gets
it's the what? And then they fucking sell it all on the opposite platform a month later? I've seen it. What are you talking about, dude? You want to get into those types? That one's easy.
It just speaks to your point about like if you skip the steps, like you never really got to that card. Like
the big step is like finding your passion in the hobby. Otherwise, you're gonna leave.
Exactly. Like, dude, when I was first starting off, like I've never been more nervous and anxious than bidding $100 on a eBay auction for a Michael Jordan insert BGS 85. Like that was scaling a mountain for me. Was getting to that point when I wasn't spending $10 for a 1991 Fleer PSA 9 base card, but instead now I've put $150 into a Scoring Kings BGS 85. Like that felt monumental, Like I completely agree that you have to go through steps. Like your tolerance, to make a weird analogy, your tolerance has to be built up to where you can graduate from swag to kush.
Yep. And you'll never be able to be at the exact same point in your collecting experiences as someone else. Like everyone has their own sort of range of where they are. It's like anything else in life. I was thinking about this with like my, I've been doing a lot more running, and I'm like trying to compare, speeds and how far I'm going with, and it's like it's impossible to compare with anyone else because it's like I've been doing it. I started later than this person, but I've been doing it. It's just there's so many fucking variables that it's like there's never a 5-step process where it's like, oh, if everyone does this, it'll be very linear for all 5 of you, and it'll just be the same path no matter what. No, that's not reality. It's like everyone's got their own individual point in time where they are.
Absolutely. Dave, the chat is just great tonight. All right. Let's see here. So many good questions this week. Okay, let's get to
I love this kitchen table thing. I am moving it closer. Look at
Nice. Only Only Puth would notice that.
Dude, the chat's not even listening to what we're saying. They're just like focused on the things around us.
All right, there were some card ladder related questions I wanted to get to. So the first one comes from GV Sports Cards, who says, how many sales get posted into the card ladder sales history from auction houses like PWCC or Golden, etc., that don't get paid for, and then even though the sales numbers still get posted? I just noticed 2 cards that are going to be relisted on PWCC, and they are still in your sales history. In the meantime, other people can use that sale and its card ladder value to comp it mistakenly. So, do you want to take a stab? I've thought, yeah, okay, let me take a stab at this. All right, so first of all, it's true and it's a great point. And it's something that we worry about. We've worried about since day one, is that some percentage of sales don't get paid. And fortunately, the way the auction houses have been publishing their archives over the last few years, like at least several of them, is that if an item ultimately doesn't get paid after the grace period expires, then they remove that sale from their archive, which is a good thing. And that helps. But in the interim period, when we're waiting to see, a judgment still has to be made about, as collectors have to make that judgment, card ladder has to make that judgment when it comes to our verified card profiles, etc. So, first of all, it's a good point, and it's something that I hope everybody is conscious of, is that, like, there are cards that are not getting paid for. It's not a large percentage, but it does happen. And also that cards getting paid for sometimes doesn't mean money was transacted. It can sometimes mean that the person who bought the card is sending new cards into the auction house to pay for the card that they just bought. So they're not actually paying in cash. They're sort of trading or something. That happens too. And we should be aware of it. But the way the card ladder deals with it is like this. And it's been something we thought about since day one. We vet sales. So even though there's tens and tens of millions of sales in sales history, only a subsection of them have the little green card ladder check. And those sales that have that little green check are sales that somebody on our research team looked at, compared to the previous sales of that card, looked at the bid history, looked at the image, made sure things matched up, looked at lots of different factors, and then decided it's probably likelier than not that this card was or will be paid for. And then we vetted it, we verified it, we put a little green check on it, we brought it into our verified card database. So that's one line of defense, GV Sports Cards, is that in sales history, if the card has the little green check, what that means is somebody at a card ladder looked at it and decided it's likelier than not that this item is or will be paid for. It's not a perfect judgment. We've made mistakes verifying cards before, verifying sales that we thought looked good, and they turned out to not get paid for whatever reason. And we will make mistakes in the future. And we try to do our best to get it accurate, but we'll never be perfect. We never, ever will be perfect. But we try. Like, after this show tonight, I'm going to go look at about 1,500 sales, 2,000 sales. Christina is looking at thousands of sales right now as we literally do this show. Christina, I know you hate this. I'm not going to show you. I'm going to show you. Christina is literally looking at Terapeak right now. The card she's reviewing is the 88 Fleer Michael Jordan PSA 7. She's looking at Terapeak, and she's determining in her research process whether or not that card is going to get verified. Sorry, that was my chair. That was not me. Okay. She's looking at that, okay? This is something we do every night. We love to do it. It's something that we just love for the hobby, but we're never going to get it perfect, all right? But that's one safeguard against it, is that we have in our database over 42,000 cards with verified card profiles, and we keep adding more. So that's one layer. But the ultimate point here is that even in that case, we can get it wrong. and it sucks. And we try our best, but we will. And so collectors, absolutely should, and always should use their own judgment as well to get glasses. Yes, we have big screens. So, but that's what I want to get at there ultimately, is that we try, but we're not perfect. And then you have the whole other thing of then sales history is full of sales that are not verified. The vast majority of sales history of sales are not verified. So if there's a card that we don't vet sales of, but has a clearly bogus sale, or it can be shown that the sale was removed from an auction house's archive, or it's like a Michael Jordan base card from 1989 that sells for $10 million on eBay, we will pull those sales out of sales history when they're brought to our attention. We'll just delete them. But outside of that, that's where we're at. That's the limitations of what we can do, and it is, it's what it is. But I wanted to give that question a serious and thoughtful answer, because it's a real thing, and everybody should be conscious of and think about it.
From the tech side, we don't have a way for a lot of these auction houses and eBay and stuff. They're not telling us when they're not paid, especially right when the auctions end. So we have to balance getting these sales into the database for people to see them immediately and start the research quickly and have the data available to them right away, versus waiting 2 weeks for them to be paid. So we aren't able to do both of those things. So we choose to get it in quicker. But to your point, if someone brings it to our attention, if someone messages me, this card is clearly relisted, I'll remove it. If I'm not sure, I'll ask Chris, Christina, can you guys look at this? But for the most part, you're right. We will just remove it if it's proven 100% to be not real. Stiff says, explain sales history versus verified. I mean, Chris went down that path pretty deep, but sales history is everything. All the sales, all 60 million or whatever it is, and the green checks are the verified sales. So if it doesn't have a green check, it doesn't mean it's a legit sale. It doesn't mean it's not a legit sale. The only thing you know for certain is the green check means it is legit.
There you go. All right, and then we had some other card ladder related questions. This one comes from AP Cards 23. He says, appreciate the work you legends put into the show and to Card Ladder. Vinny, is that you? Oh, we didn't get a question from Vinny Slabarino this week. It just dawned on me. Somebody should check on Vinny. Okay. The question is, how do you stay focused in your collecting? Is it because you've got solid hobby habits that are not only centered on buying cards? If yes, are there any tips on a good hobby routine besides just hitting buy it now and watching games?
I can't think of a time when I'm not focused on it anyway. It's like asking, when do you focus on breathing? I don't really focus on it. It just sort of happens.
Yep. I can tell you one of the things that I spend a lot of too much hobby time doing is talking about sports and cards in group DM. So there's so many group chats now. There's a McCaffrey group chat. There's a Luka group chat. There's a Michael Jordan group chat. There's a Jokic group chat. There's so many group chats on Instagram and on Facebook, and they're not for everybody. I totally get that. People.
I realized today we're not in a single group chat together.
I don't know if you're really. Do you love the group chat setting? I feel like you might not.
I'm in one. And it's a LeBron group chat, and it's more of a support group.
Yeah.
We're watching every game and the ups and downs of during the game. We're up 10, and the other team gets the lead down to 8, and we're like, "Fuck this shit, we suck." It's more of a support group for for that really minute detail of the games.
Absolutely, exactly right. That's great. They are support groups.
I tried to make a group chat with the three of us, but you guys quickly denounced it and kept going back to your private DMs.
No.
So.
if you were to read a player group chat during a game that player's playing in, you would think it was people who hate that player.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Exactly right. You're like, oh my God, he missed the shot. This fucking guy stole all my cards.
Dude, it's so funny, and like it's such a pattern to it. All of them, it's like we're all convinced that the team we're rooting for is going to lose, and that our guy sucks, and that he's not trying hard enough. But it's a support group, you know. It really is, and that's one way that I enjoy it a lot. And it's hard to like not A, group chat's not for everybody. B, it's hard to take initiative to start one, and then C, you have to like provide it with content and see it through.
Yeah.
Now, because I'm so obsessed with following the NBA right now, I just pummel these people with stats and stuff. And
exhausting. You must be in these group chats. My God.
I know.
PR last night, dude. The eye test. Let me have my eyes for one day. I'm watching the game. He missed the shot, and you're like, well, actually, his percentage is still above average.
No, it's really bad. But yeah, so that's one thing.
That's why I'm not in That's why I'm not in these groups. You fucking drive me nuts.
Yes. No, I know. It's good. These people are my victims.
Like, let me be irrationally upset for no reason. Just let me, like, Christina, I know you go through this every day with this man. Just let me be angry for no reason. Just let me be.
Support me as I do this.
I feel like throwing things because my team missed one shot. That's fine. It doesn't matter.
Yep, exactly. Okay, so
the other day, my wife was like, I can't be around you when you watch these games. You're so fucking annoying. And I'm like, yeah, I agree. Please leave so that I can yell at myself. That's great.
Yeah, exactly. No, Christina will leave the room as well. She gets very she rages the most of anybody, bro. So, also, like, going to card shows, as cliche as that is as well, just going to a card show, BSing with people, and buying a card. Or selling one. You know, just doing something, trading, doing something, that is enough to, like, get the hockey juices flowing. I don't know.
You know, my favorite part of when I make the trip out to see the two of you weirdos? You know what it is?
Seeing us.
Going to Chipotle.
No, none of that garbage. No. Crash. No. I'll just tell you. You're not going to get it. You guys aren't clever enough. It's when you guys are both, like, doing your regular card ladder jobs, and I just watch you do it.
Yeah. Well, then you start doing things. Like, you'll see something and be like, oh, let me modify this. Yeah.
Yeah, because you guys
your
do something that annoys me that, like, takes too long, and I'm like, why are you doing it that slowly? Let me just do this one thing, and you'll never take that long again. Yeah. That's my favorite part.
I'm going to perform a magic trick for the chat. I'm going to guarantee that I trigger Josh.
Oh, God. Your fucking stupid X things. I don't know. So stupid, man. I can't even know how your brain is able to not click that all the time.
Dude, it's like keeping a hobby box sealed. That's the only thing I can compare it to.
You know how when you buy a new phone or a new device that has a screen rip-off thing, you know what I'm talking about? You not just, like, immediately tear that thing off and have so much joy from doing it?
Dude, I think this TV that I have right here still has the little plastic.
Yeah. You're the guy that leaves it on there forever, and it's, like, starting to bubble in the corners. And it's like, how the fuck?
That drives me nuts. Like, I rip it off, and then I get yelled at for, like, taking it off.
Do you still have earboxes with the X?
Yes. But I have something that will trigger Josh even more.
No, you do not.
Yeah, I do. My Chrome needs to update, and it's been like that for, like, 11 days. But I've been working in the middle of stuff, so I haven't updated because I don't want to, like, close the browser and have to reopen all the tabs.
You're fired. Can I fire her? Is she fired?
She just fired herself, if we're being honest.
When I pick up my wife's phone randomly and I see the, like, red circle notification over her email that's like 7,000, I'm like, oh my God.
Wait, if I'm fired, can I just, like, go to bed now? Like,
she's like, please
my work for tonight. And
look, not only did Christina one-up my story, by coming up with an even more triggering thing for Josh. But then she won up to getting fired.
Yeah.
By saying, well, if I'm fired, I actually quit and I'm going to bed.
I'll take the weekend off if I'm fired. I'll see y'all Monday.
You know what? Stop one up.
Quit.
Stop.
If you quit, I don't have to give you severance.
Try that.
If she quits, I don't have to give her severance. Let her.
What?
No severance for if you, quit versus
you just
retire.
Fired me on air.
Back.
I literally have a video proof that Josh fired and Chris with it.
Nick, edit this part out. This is the part where you stop the edit.
All right.
I would love to see you guys do customer feedback for
You would not. You would not love that.
This is another one from Ben Cross Country Runner 1. He says, what are the unintended or unforeseen consequences of card ladder on future card prices? I worry about that. I think about this one sometimes. I think about like when a player's momentum starts rolling down and then card ladder is verifying through player indexes and value estimates and stuff that the value of that player is rolling down. Does it add to the momentum? And likewise when value is going up. Like that's one thing I think about. Another thing I think about is like, does access to so many comps like actually remove some of the mystique of researching and like I think about a lot of these things. What do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say that our indexes don't move fast enough.
Oh, they don't. They're super conservative.
Like Ja Morant, for example, is like, this dude's getting suspended for like at the minimum, like 20 games. And that's going to seriously hurt his card value, and the index won't support that for like a month. What was your other one?
Having access to all of the
Too many
20 years worth of comps.
There's definitely times where I personally am looking at making an offer on a card, and I feel good about the offer I'm going to make, and then I go look up a comp that's like 20% higher than my offer is about to be, and I'm like, fuck, I can't straight-faced make this offer that I feel is fair today because this comp exists. You know, there's that.
Your grievance is that there's now
like the
evidence to show
Drake
you
PC,
that you're sending a low ball.
Like Drake's worst nightmare. It's just like I'm living it.
I wish Ben, maybe for next week, like give your input on this. I think we might be the best, but also the worst people to ask about this. You know what I mean? Like,
we definitely share people's pain because we use the tool obviously ourselves in our own day-to-day deals, and I know you and I both use it for like getting down to the penny that we want to offer using the math of our letter. So we definitely get it.
yeah, and one thing that it's done for me, both using the app and working on it, is that I don't want to have any cards in my collection that sell enough that they get a verified profile in card letter. That's almost been like one of my rules of thumb of building a collection. It's like if it has a profile in card letter and it's got a graph, I don't want it.
There's definitely been a few times where I'm like, Chris, what's the data telling you on X? And you're like, well, why? Why? I'm like, well, I mean, you're looking at this shit so much. Shouldn't you like kind of know what's going to happen tomorrow? Like,
Yeah,
I feel like you're like the guy that's like in charge of the whole stock market or something. Like, you got some insider trading tips here, bro.
yeah, and it works the opposite way. It actually,
Yeah.
I've never been more blinded to trends and more anchored in the past than, yeah. And you can overexpose. You can take in too much information, and it can actually, because the problem is nobody else is looking at all this information. So my mental process is not resembling that of a normal collector. Like,
Right.
I know what the value of a Tatum Prism Silver is, and like I would never have any reason to know that as a Michael Jordan collector. It's like it's yeah.
Is that going to go down after he shit the bed in the fourth quarter again?
Holy shit, man! it's been so ever since he came out with his humbly, I'm one of the best in the world.
You didn't forget that one, did you?
No, he had one monster game, and then he's had 2 back-to-back tough games. Not
He was
good
good.
games.
He was good tonight until the fourth.
Yeah. Yeah. He's good, man. He's really, really good.
Dude, I'm about to start a Caleb Martin PC.
Caleb Martin is really good too. You know what's so funny about Martin? The advanced stuff from game 1 of the playoffs said
He's awesome.
this guy is awesome. And
Yep.
and now, after 3 rounds, it's like, yeah, he is.
Dude, you could definitely spot that without looking at the advanced stats. He's been awesome. Like, he stands out. He hits the open shots. I feel like he's been really great on defense. Like, his hustle plays are there. He's good, man. On the broadcast day tonight, they were like, man, I want to see this other twin. Is the other twin as good as this guy? Because these guys are – if he is, man, we got 2 of these guys?
Dude, some podcast I was listening to said, did the Hornets get rid of the wrong twin? Did they not know what as a real theory? Because there was once that trade involving the Memphis Grizzlies where, like, one guy thought he was traded and it was a different guy that had similar names. I don't know.
His brother's Cody, right? His brother's still on the Hornets?
I think so, yeah.
They're identical twins?
I don't know about that.
Because there's 2 twins coming out of the draft that are, like pretty close in prospect value as well.
Interesting.
Thompson brothers.
Well, and then there's 2 guys named Jalen. Jalen Williams on Oklahoma City Thunder.
No, this is not like that. That's
They're actually not related at all. Although the one Jalen Williams got 99 first place votes for the all-rookie team, first team, and the other one got 1 vote.
I wonder if that's a mistake. Mark Jackson, was that you fucking dummy? Dude, look at Bam's box score tonight, though.
Bam has been really good.
He had 22, 17, and 9, I believe. Oh, my God. He's good, man. He definitely stepped it up these playoffs. Like, he had a, not amazing regular season, but he's been good.
Yep. Totally. The whole Heat team has
Do you feel like last year they were the number 1 fucking seed in the East? And then they were like, that doesn't matter. Who cares? Let's just get the 8th seed, and then let's fucking go back to what we were doing in the playoffs last year.
Right. I don't know.
That's what it feels like. They just didn't give a shit about the regular season, or this is a fluke. I don't know what's going on.
Well, they shot bad from 3 during the regular season, and now they're shooting well during the postseason.
They were like number 1 in the NBA last year in threes.
Yeah, they were really good last year, I know.
It's the same team.
The other thing, though, that was always there in the numbers, and this is why Tatum pisses me off a little bit right now. Jimmy Butler, his season this year, if you average his ranks all time in box plus minus, player efficiency rating, and win shares per 48.
Top 50.
His top 50 and basically tied with Kawhi's best season.
Yep.
That Jimmy Butler during the regular season this year was prime Kawhi. All right? That's how good he was statistically. It was always there. And then
he was all NBA second team, though.
He did make second team, but you know who made first team forward over him? Jason Tatum.
Well, yeah. But it's like Tatum had like more gaudy volume stats during the year because
he did.
Jimmy Butler doesn't give a fuck about the regular season.
Right. Well, that's totally true about Tatum. He had great volume stats. He was on a much higher ranked team with a much better win percentage. That's all true, but Jimmy Butler had a top 50 season of all time.
Yeah, I hear you. But, dude, he's awesome. Jimmy Butler it's really, really hard to watch this Heat team and be like, I hate these guys, unless you're like a Celtics fan right now. Because it's like, dude, they're way out playing what everyone expected. Butler is just chirping at everybody. It's fucking awesome to watch. And Grant Williams is getting in his face after making 1 shot. And then Butler just like eviscerates him the rest of the game. It's so good.
The Grant Williams is the Dylan Brooks of the East.
He's worse. He gets like Dylan Brooks is a starter. This guy's like a DNP master. What are you talking about?
And you know what else? Spoelstra is a freaking wizard of a coach. And like Kevin Love didn't have it tonight. So Spoelstra plays in 14 minutes. And that's it.
Yep.
You know, like that team is more next man up than anybody else.
Yep. I just every time that fucking Duncan Robinson gets a backdoor cut layup, I'm like, is this just Spoelstra? Like, what is making this work? I just like Duncan fucking Robinson, who didn't play like all season, is getting backdoor cuts on Jaylen Brown. Like, how is this happening? What's the ingredient that I don't understand? Is it Butler being a maestro? Is it Spoelstra coaching? I don't know. Maybe it's just, is this heat culture thing real? You know?
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a bit of all of that.
Did you see they had 2 backdoor cuts? This guy couldn't play all season.
I know.
And Duncan Robinson, what the fuck?
It's wild. It's tonight in 20 minutes he had 15 points on 6 of 9 field goals.
And Jimmy Butler's literally throwing lasers around the court. Like, he has no arc on his shot. Lasers into the net. Swish. And it's like, how the fuck did that go in?
I know. And when when he's near the hoop, whenever he shoots, whether he's near the hoop or he jumps as high as he can, and then he's just like, you see him aiming the ball. You know, he's just like, yeah.
Don't you feel like there's a bunch of times where you could tell he's like the 8th fastest player on the court, but somehow he just blows by people and gets layups.
Yep.
Like, his angles are perfect.
Yep.
He's able to hit the backboard just right. Like, that guy is just the epitome of like maximizing what you got.
Totally. Yeah, he's awesome.
And now all this stuff about the Sixers, I don't know if you've been listening to Simmons, but like all this anti-Sixers culture talk is starting to come out, and it's like maybe Jimmy Butler was kind of right about everything 5 years ago when he left, which was like, you guys got serious issues on your hands. I got to get the fuck out of here. And people were like, no, Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris. And now it's like, man, he gets further than them every year, and he's a lower seed, and he's getting paid less than these guys. It's just like, ooh.
Yeah. Jimmy's revenge.
Is he the most popular player ever to have 0 championships?
Dude, he's very popular right now, but it's just a fad. Like, people.
Yeah, like Barkley. Yeah.
Yep. It's just a fad. It's just right now. But if they win a championship, and then even if they win a championship, like, does he go down like Chauncey Billups, like that type of Finals MVP?
Oh man, he's just maybe I'm a prisoner of the moment, but goddamn, I love me some Jimmy Butler right now.
Yeah, he's sick. Their team is sick.
Nah, their team isn't sick.
I like the team. Like, I give Jimmy a lot of credit, but like, and this is gonna sound a little crazy, but they remind me of the Warriors from last year. The way that they are playing defense from a small size, the way that they're making threes, the way that they're backdoor cutting the Celtics to death.
Yeah. You a big Gabe Vincent guy? I always pegged you for a big Max Strus, analytical guy.
Dude, Max Strus, like, he's supposed to not be able to play defense, right? But like,
he's locking up.
He's locking up Tatum.
I know. There was a whole bit about that on Simmons where they're like, he fucking locked up Tatum. How's this happening? They were like losing their minds about that.
Yep. What's up, Lameem James?
Maybe Tatum's not him, you know?
Nah, he's him. He's not perfect. And when you are making first team All-NBA over Jimmy Butler, you better be better than Jimmy Butler.
So you think Jimmy Butler is better than Jason Tatum?
Yeah. I don't even think it. I don't have to think about it. I can produce numbers. I can produce numbers that say that he is. Or we can go the stiff arm wax route and say Tatum soft.
Tatum soft.
Yeah, okay. But also though, on the Tatum versus Butler thing, dude, Butler's like 34. Tatum's 25. Tatum can become better than Jimmy Butler.
He just needs nine more years of practice.
or maybe 2 more. Or maybe, if Tatum has had a different coach each of the last 3 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And
people are really getting on the coach now.
Yeah, dude, they can get on the coach all they want. The Celtics were the number 2 opponent-adjusted offensive rated team and the number 2 defensive rated team. They were top 2 offense and defense this year.
Yeah. I'm with Ryan Russillo on this one. He's always talking about this where he's like, people love to get on the coaches, but like, I feel like it's way more on the players. They're the ones that are out there with the ball, executing, not executing. But, Spoelstra's making it seem like that there's definitely some impact.
Yeah, right. Or we could just go stiff screwed and say Tatum uses 2 hands to drink a water bottle. Tatum closes the fridge with his hips.
I don't get that.
What do you mean?
That's like one of those like Chuck Norris things. Remember those?
Yeah.
Where it's like Chuck Norris, he doesn't do push-ups. He pushes the earth down. It's like Tatum drinks water bottles with 2 hands, like little quirks that make it. That's funny.
Christina, visualize a grown man opening the refrigerator door, and then when he wants to close it, he bumps it with his hip.
I guess I've done that before, so I guess I don't. That's why I'm like having a rough time.
Yes, exactly. That's the point. You've done.
Oh. So you're calling him a girl?
No, I'm not calling him a girl.
He opens chips with scissors. Old Butterfingers. But he's like an aw shucks kind of guy. Is that what we're saying?
Do not tag Eddie.
Dude, Eddie was blowing up my DMs after that 51-point game. And I'll point out, I haven't been blowing up his DMs after these 2 stinkers in the fourth quarter. I guess I shouldn't do that, eh?
Eddie loves the trash talk. That's one thing we know.
Yeah, he loves it when it's in his favor, though, in that one game.
All right. Yes. Eddie loves the trash talk. All right.
I said, Eddie, I thought we weren't allowed to send stats back and forth. You're throwing these 51-point numbers at me. I don't even know what 51 means. All I saw was a dog in the game, bro. I don't know. Look at the numbers. Did they even win? Like, what was the score? I don't even know.
Yep. Dude, we had so many good questions that, like, we should do a part 2. We should do a part 2. I don't. I have to wrap it up. I have to be done because
You got to watch Succession. You got Succession episodes.
I need to at least get 3 episodes of Succession in tonight.
Uh-huh.
And I know you would understand that. Oh, fuck you, Dennis. Don't do that, man. You know he's up right now. He's probably breaking.
Uh-huh.
He's gonna come in. Yo, shout out to South Park Cards. One of the most consistent shit talkers on Instagram stories of all time. No one is safe. Dude. No one is safe.
I always have this thing about Puth. I can't call him that. I give up. Actually, I don't like that. South, where I feel like he literally thinks everyone sucks at basketball. He's shit talked every single player that's ever played in his stories. He'll go at Michael Jordan and LeBron in one story and be like, these guys are fucking overrated. LeBron switches teams. Jordan fucking retired with gambling debt. Like, he'll just go at anyone.
He will.
It doesn't matter.
No, his challenge that he puts upon himself is to come up with a take that he has to defend, even though it might even be wrong. It might just be the complete wrong take, and he will come up with it and he'll defend it.
He's like,
and he'll
Brady should only have 3 rings. Brady should have 3 rings. He's trash. Fucking Lawrence Taylor was not even that good.
Right.
And then that's why I was like, remember when we were at in Vegas? I was like, who do you like? Like who are the guys that you like? Because I feel like you hate everybody.
I'll tell you.
Paul George.
If they were drafted in between 2008 and 2013, roughly, and they have cool rookie cards from that era, that's your man.
I think does like LeBron though, or he thinks he's at least decent at basketball.
No, and like, dude, it's this. Is it any different than me, who loves Hakeem Olajuwon and like that era that meant something to me as well? You know, like that's his era. You know, that's his era. Meme says he nut hugs Kawhi and PG.
He likes Brandon Roy. That's a good one. He likes Tracy McGrady, Brandon Roy, Dwight Howard.
Yep.
Paul George, Kawhi Leonard.
Yep. Tracy McGrady too, I think.
That's what I said. I said Tracy.
Oh, sorry.
McGrady.
Yeah, he's before that window.
We named 4 guys and we're like already doubling up because we can't think of anyone else. We're like, did you say Dwight Howard?
You
said that already.
Did you say he's got a brand. He's got a brand. That's good. If you can say somebody's hobby name and like 5 players come to mind, you've done a good job.
He told me I like LeBron before he joined the Lakers. He's got these weird rules too, where it's like I like him until he joins a team that starts with an L. He did tell me KD was going to choke for my Suns. He didn't really choke, but he wasn't great.
Choke is strong. I think he averaged like 35 a game in that series.
Yeah. His 3-point percentage was bad.
Yeah. He's still really, really, really good.
Dude, Hakeem Olajuwon is garbage. Didn't you guys hear about this already? People are like, Olajuwon had this stats, this. Dude, failure.
Failure, yeah.
Fail.
Wembanyama, don't you dare fall to the level of Hakeem Olajuwon.
Well, who's like, okay, so if you're a young player and you're told Olajuwon's, that sucks, don't do that. Are you just like going straight to Kareem? Like, where are we headed with this? We going Wilt Chamberlain? Like, I'm trying to figure out where we go from here. Like, am I looking at Bill Russell? What do I do?
That's a great question. Yeah, so we've said who he can't be. What is he? I think we'd settle for like, if he averaged a season where he had over 50 points a game, like Wilt, like that probably would meet their criteria.
If he doesn't hit 100 points at some point, bad.
I mean, if he doesn't have a game with 53 points, 27 rebounds, 12 assists, 13 blocks, and 14 steals, did he even really play in the league?
So Kareem won 3 national championships, right? Is that correct? Or 2 or 3 or 4? Probably 4. I don't even know. Yeah. So he's got that mountain to climb. He's got to make up for that in order to pass Kareem, he's going to have to win at least 7 championships to make up for the fact that he didn't win those, NCAA championships. Did they even win the French championship this year? Probably not. So, I mean, what?
Greatest prospect of all time, Josh.
Russell has 11 championships, so we got to get to 12. We got to figure that one out.
If this guy doesn't win a championship in his rookie season, kick him out of the league.
I'm still going back to that. I think the most ridiculous statement was the best offensive and separately the best defensive player. Isn't that making it more insane than saying the best player in the NBA?
Yeah. Yes. Who was the last player who was both of those things? I mean, I don't know if anybody ever really has both of those going at the same time. I don't even know if it's possible.
He's basically Jokic on offense and Jaren Jackson on defense. Good luck.
Yeah, that's all.
Stopping this guy. You should average a triple-double and also 7 blocks. Like, that's the only way. And you got to shoot 60%, and you got to also be a great perimeter defender. You got to lock up Damian Lillard.
Right.
And then I need you to average 14 assists as a center, and then we'll talk.
All right. Let's pick a title for today's show.
It's got to be about Wembanyama, Hakeem.
Okay.
No, go ahead. Read the title.
Let's go to those because I like that too. So, also when I started giving my thing about verified sales, we lost like 10. But now that we've started talking about Wembanyama, like the number went back up.
Back.
So
I didn't want to see anything when you were going because you were on such a roll, but.
Oh, I saw.
Your self-awareness is on point.
I saw it, but like I have to answer that question because like we get it once in a while, and it's there are some people who care about it.
Read the captions because that's always a fun part.
Let's go. Here are the Wembanyama ones. Collective societal abuse, sensing phony hype. This guy better be LeBron or I break my TV. Blind hype with Victor Wembanyama.
There you go. That's fun.
That's the one. Okay, all right.
No, keep going though.
I will.
I like listening to him.
I will. And then the other one was blind positivity, which is like that's definitely a hobby buzzword right now. Blind hype with Victor Wembanyama sums up a lot of the show. All right, so here's some of the other ones. So make fun of yourself first, and then no one else can. Nosebleed level, which I advocate for. I think that's a good idea. Sex 100.
You said that. I was like, don't say it. Good.
I was in a mode at the start of the show where just I was saying. But
there's gonna be like a charity branched off of this, and you're sitting here talking about
that. Dude, this is what people need. If people don't know what they're tuning in for by now.
And then Perimeter just nailed it with the comment on
that. Poke each other's buttons.
What? Poke each other's.
You have to like capitalize BUTT and then like.
Okay, no, you don't.
Oh, but Sex 100 is okay?
What do you mean? It's how if you saw the letters SX on a piece of paper, a capital S, lowercase x, you pronounce it sex. All right.
Six?
SECKS is how I spell it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right. Another title option, find value in your tool. Others, these people are my victims.
That was a good one. You said that was hilarious. I don't even remember what it was about, but it's contextually amazing.
Lamim is in the Luka chat. He knows about the pain of that chat.
Why is he in that chat? Just because he's a Trae Young guy? Why does that work?
He's in there to keep everybody honest.
I found out that there was a chat making fun of someone that I would love to make fun of that I'm not in, and I was highly upset about that today.
Man, you've missed out on a lot. That's a chat where you scroll up when they add you. You scroll up.
Isn't that just what your two DMs are?
Yeah.
Making fun of Christina.
But they're
That's why when Christina was like, I made a chat with the three of us, I was thinking sometimes when Christina messages me, not every time, when she messages me, I'm like, that reminds me, I need to tell Chris something hilarious today. Separately, though, because I don't want her to be in a... So bad.
She's so red.
She knows it happened, though, too. I'll be like, oh, what? Thanks for the reminder. I got to...
She like see me laughing. I'll be like holding my phone and start laughing. She's like, what are you laughing about? Like nothing. Put it down. I don't want to have to walk her through the whole context of it, you know?
Exactly.
Can't do it.
Yeah, it's especially fun when I'm literally talking to Josh and then I don't hear from him for we're in the middle of the conversation. I don't hear from him for a good 60 seconds, and then Chris just starts giggling next to me, and I'm like, I know you fuckers are talking to each other.
I come back and I'm Christina. I had to step away for 3 hours. I was super busy. She's like, "You're lying. You're lying."
Oh Lord, we've gone below 40. George says, "Are we done?" Yes, we're done. All right, good show.
This is why she calls us the boy. She's like, "Oh, the boy," because it's like we get into trouble.
We do get a little bit of trouble, yeah. All right, I'm ending this.
Pizza with asking.
I'm ending this while our number's still above 40. It's starting to drop a bit. All right, see you guys next week.
We're reaching the top.
A lot has changed since Card Ladder began. We started with 500 cards in our database, and now we have over 3 million cards and over 30 million sales.
For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
With Card Ladder's sales history feature, we have virtually every card in our system. If the card you are looking for ever sold on one of these platforms, you can find it using Card Ladder's sales history, and you can add a card to your collection with just one click.
My time, none of you people can tell me to stop.
Plus, every card, no matter the last time it sold, has an estimated value that we calculated using our state-of-the-art player indexes. Unlike other apps, when you see Card Ladder's verified checkmark, that means a researcher personally vetted each and every sale.
We know what it takes to be reaching the top.
We know what you want, because Card Ladder was created by collectors for collectors.
Know what it takes to be reaching the top.
Join the innovators, not the imitators. Card Ladder 2.0, constantly innovating. Try it for free. See why Card Ladder is the industry leader in sports card data.
We know what it takes to be reaching the top.
Card Ladder 2.0.